All right, we're back for another Friday financial wrap-up with Mr. Michael Zuber. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well, man. Every day is Saturday. It's the end of the year. Halloween's almost here. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, and it's just a fun time of year. For me, it's typically a type where I start reflecting and start thinking about next year all at the same time. So yeah, I love this time of year. November, December, love them, love them.
Same. Absolutely excited. It's hard to believe we're less than 5 weeks away from Thanksgiving and less than 9 weeks till Christmas or the Christmas holiday season, depending on what you celebrate.
Wow.
Pretty wild, right? Time flies.
9 so wow, under 10 weeks. Yeah. And that means we're like 14 weeks away from our event. That means tie it all together, right?
You better buy the tickets. So before we got on, folks, today is Friday, October the 24th, 2025. We're going to get into the show, but I want to say if you are planning to come to the Vegas event, I just talked with Michael. I won't leak it out, but he's going to do something special in the next couple of weeks. And I guarantee that when this special thing happens, the Vegas event will sell out within the next, I would say, 2 to 4 weeks is my guesstimate based on what we talked about. So let's get into the show. Okay. CPI, what is it? What happened this week?
The first thing I want to point out about CPI is why we got it, right? Yeah. Some of you might be asking, why did we get CPI, but we haven't got weekly jobs number, BLS numbers, all of these other things. Why was CPI the exception?
Right.
And, I didn't know either until I talked to Taylor from Life Goal Investments, who's a 12-year Wall Street veteran. He's like, Michael, they had to do CPI because it's part of the COLO adjustments for Social Security, cost of living adjustments. So they had to do it. So that's why we got CPI when most economic data is dark. There was some conspiracy around it's going to be a good number, it's going to be a bad number. That's why they're doing it, yada, yada, yada. And the truth is the Social Security Administration needed this number for the cost of living adjustment. It's not a conspiracy. It's math. We got to take care of our seniors. And, that made me feel better, right? Because I didn't know. I'm like, why are we getting this number and we're not getting the others? And, if you didn't dig for the truth, you could have gotten lost in conspiracy. So that's the first thing I want to say is I admit things that I didn't know. And it was Taylor who brought the cost of living adjustment up to me. So shout out to him for the right answer. Now for CPI. It's another one of those things that I got right. And you can go back and watch the interview with Dan Bird on Sunday. Actually, both he and I thought that CPI would come in better than expected, right? The experts were telling you it was going to come in hot. It was going to come in at 3.1. We were going to go from 2.7 to 2.9 to 3.1. They thought core would stay flat at 3.1. And, I said, I don't think so. I'm going to take the under, right? You guys are not watching the commodities. You're not watching what's going on out there. And sure enough, both headline and core came in better than expected. Frankly, every number came in better than expected, year on year, month on month. So CPI did go up. It went from 2.9 to 3, and core went down, right? Core's been stuck at 3.1 or was stuck at 3.1 for months. So across the board, inflation is better than expected. It is also true to say it went up, so the trend is not broken, right? It was 2.4 in April, I think, or maybe May. Now it's 3, so, it's still up, but it's not the disaster that, many were predicting. A 3.1 number certainly could have given the Fed pause to cut next week. At this point, inflation performing better than expected, makes the October cut, a layup, and really brings to bear that the December rate cut, could be locked in as well. So it was a significant number.
Significant number, obviously impactful that the Fed will probably continue to cut rates. We'll talk a little bit more about the CPI number, how it ties in with mortgages. Let's keep going though. Let's talk about existing home sales. What did you see this week? What's your take?
Man, that number was one I was nervous about because I 2 months ago with Lance Lambert, when he pulled up the numbers, which he reports monthly, I was like, I'm calling the bottom right now.
Yep.
August will be the bottom.
Yep.
And September, not only will September 2025 be better than 2024, but when I looked at his
Yeah.
chart, I said, dude, we're going to be better than 2023 also. And man, when I put that out there, the doomers and crash bros and their poor broke fans lit up my comments, called me all kinds of names and idiots and all these things. And it's like, guys, you're not looking at my track record, right? I've been right a lot compared to your broke friends. And sure enough, I was nervous. I was nervous, but I was right. It came in at 4.06, up 4% year on year.
Yep.
Again, I don't want people to mistake what I'm saying. I'm not saying we're going back to 6 million.
No.
I'm just saying we hit bottom.
Yeah.
And it will take months, quarters, and years to get back to 6 million. But the bottom's important.
Right.
And, it is frankly still too early for me to claim a victory because now we have this government shutdown, which is slowing down mortgages. So, September may be wonky because of that, but I'm going to stand on it for at least a little while and say, we called the bottom. We called it early. And, transactions are up, which again, people really don't understand. They freaking lose their mind because I'm talking about transactions and not price.
Right.
Transactions are actually very important. Real estate, roughly speaking, is 15% of our economy. Total GDP. We have been in a depression in the real estate industry, which means it's a negative for GDP. Right. If I'm right, and we start getting positive numbers year on year going forward, slowly up, but up nonetheless, that will be a tailwind for GDP, right? Yep. We're doing 3% GDP growth with 15% of our economy in a recession or a depression.
Right.
What would the GDP numbers be like if real estate was just even, let alone, declining 40%?
Yeah.
So, it's, it felt really good to get that one right. I got to tell you.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. And even just commenting on, what you just broke down, what you just described was what will probably be a rolling recession.
And yes, exactly. Yeah.
That right. The whole idea that 15% of the GDP, is that correct?
Yeah, correct, roughly.
If you look at that, I mean, real estate transactions have been beat up for the last 2 years. And not only that, but also for existing home sales to take a bump up. Something you said for a long time, higher for longer for interest rates. We finally are starting to see the 10-year come in. We're finally starting to see 30-year mortgages come down. And so probably to the lowest this week, potentially could be the lowest point of the year. Is that?
Yeah, I think this week we hit the low. If I remember from Mortgage Business Daily, the average was 6.19. I think was because they do a weekly average. Yep. I think we did hit 6.11 for a day, but it wasn't a weekly average. But yeah, regardless, we are at the bottom of the range, and we'll see where we go from here. I will admit I'm a little surprised that after the nice CPI reading that the 10-year is up this morning. It's not up a lot, but it's up. I would have expected it to be down. So we'll have to see where that washes out later today. But, I think the trend is generally for lower mortgage rates and not only, lower 10-year, but also the spreads. I think the spreads continue to tighten. Right. We still have 40 basis points in just tighter spreads coming, assuming we get back to a 50-year average, which I think we will eventually.
There we go. Okay. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well as opportunity. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the government shutdown. Where the heck are we? What happened? What happened this week, and where do we go next?
This one is one that I'm afraid I'm going to be disappointed if I'm right.
Okay.
There were a lot of people that thought the weekend's demonstrations of No King's Day was the calendar event that would then on Monday or Tuesday, we would be past this. There was a lot of belief out there. There was media talking about it. And I said, I don't think so. I've always said, I think this is once it went past the 15th of October, I'm like, this is going to be the longest one ever.
Okay.
And I do not feel good saying that. So we got past it. We're still, as of Friday morning, I haven't seen any news. It appears it's still shut down.
Yep.
And near as the other thing that I think is going on now is, as I understand the health insurance side of this, open enrollment starts November 1st, and a lot of the battle between the Democrats and Republicans is around continuation of some kind of, I don't know, money for that. And supposedly there's not enough time to even adjust that now in the open enrollment, because again, it's what is it, the 24th?
Yep.
Open enrollment's in 8 days. So
Right.
it's a complete, we need compelling events to kind of force the two parties to get together. And we're just watching time go by, and there's no compelling event, it seems, other than time. And unfortunately, I heard Bernie Sanders the other day say something that completely irritated me. He was being interviewed by someone who correctly said, basically, why is Congress being paid when the government shut down? Which I think is a reasonable question. Why is the Congress and senators and representatives and all these people are still getting paychecks to not do anything?
Right.
And Bernie said, well, we have a lot of young members of Congress who couldn't afford not to get paid. And kudos to the person interviewing him. She bolted right out, just total reaction. There are millions of people you're asking to do the same thing, right? And a couple of senators can't go without a paycheck for a while. So I mean, we're gonna. I mean, then we have, I think it's EBT not being paid on November 1st. Food stamps, I think it is.
Food stamp,
it's like, guys, you got to you're hurting Americans, right? You're supposed to be working for Americans.
For political posturing.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this is, I don't know. I've always thought politics was disgusting, and this is just another example of politics being disgusting. But yeah, I don't see it. Dude, this could go 60 days. I mean, I don't see either side. If we get past this open enrollment date and there's not why would they? I mean, at some point we got to ask ourselves, government's still functioning. Is everybody, non-essential? I mean, this could go a long time. It's not good.
That open enrollment is a huge, big deal. I have family that works. My wife worked in that health insurance industry, and that is like it's a big thing. I didn't really connect the dots on that. That actually makes a lot of sense that they're, again, just continue to stir the pot. How wild. So time will tell. Do you see, just follow up, the government shutdown? So let's talk about, if we do go 60 days, if we go 45 days, what will be the impact, do you think, to transactions, to what we do, the one rental at a time investor, the one rental at a time realtor, loan officer?
Well, I think a couple of things are true. We'll talk macro first, and then we'll get to our part of the world, right? So at the macro level, I have to believe the reports that the government shutdown is costing about $14 billion a day in GDP, right? Because we have lots of people not being paid, not consuming. We have people that are afraid, delaying purchases. A lot of that GDP will be, back end loaded, because the stuff will happen eventually, just delayed GDP. But a big percentage, and maybe it's 40%, just never happened, right? You didn't eat out. So we're suffering every day right now, right? So, and that only gets bigger the longer this goes, right? Most, I don't know if not most, a lot of people knew this was coming, right, in the Fed. So they probably had some savings put away. They were probably, I think most of them were like, all right, it could go 2 weeks. So I missed one check. Now we're coming up on the second check. I don't know a lot of people that were prepared for a third check, because again, the longest one was 35 days. The fact that we're getting close to November 1st and EBT could be impacted, I think, shocks a lot of people. Because that's the part of our society that we're supposed to be helping.
Most
right?
vulnerable.
Yeah, the most vulnerable. Yeah, it's well said. And it's unfortunate that pain of the U.S. consumers is what is being played with on purpose to force parties to work together. So So that's at the macro level. I think it costs us money every day. Now, our level, 15% of the economy, real estate. I've been hearing from real estate agents, mortgage brokers, escrow officers all month because I'm asking them what's going on. And the answer is everything's slower. So not that it's stopped, but everything is slower, right? Before you might be able to be confident in a 21 or 28 day close, slower, right? Especially if you have government financing. You also have consumers that aren't participating because there are people nervous and concerned about the shutdown, back to the delayed consumption.
Yep.
So yeah, this is this is, I mean, it likely goes on the whole month of October, which again, back to my earlier point about August being the bottom and September being a bounce. It's going to hurt October. Right? We're going to have transactions that should have closed in October that won't. They'll be punted to November. We had record cancellations. I think we had 17% cancellations. Again, some of that's fear, some of that's this, some of that's that. So yeah, I think the real estate industry is just, we're like that boxer who's beat up but standing, just taking another blow or two. It's just like, man, how much longer can we take these hits?
Okay. Time will tell. We'll keep an eye. Government shutdown. Very interesting times we're in. So let's talk about earnings. So earnings thus far, what did you see? What's your take on where we're at with earnings season?
I was really surprised when I looked this up. I read a report yesterday. So this data doesn't include reports from yesterday, but probably is still relatively accurate. 85% of the S&P 500 that has reported beat expectations. That's a record level for this time in the earnings cycle. So again, some of that is because they lowered expectations, right, coming into the quarter. But nonetheless, 85% of companies are doing better than people thought. And that should be telling, right? So again, the doomers who say the world's falling apart, it's hard to say that when you have airlines and hotels and tech and, grocery stores and all these others doing better than expected. It's hard to say the world's going to end.
There you go. Well, it is interesting, right? I mean, stock market is strong. If you look at parts of the Bay Area where you live or at least, where in California, it's crazy the amount of wealth and still like multiple offers and way over bids on the right inventory. It's probably very bifurcated also, right? So
I think the K-shaped economy we talked about years ago is it's going to be in effect for a long time. Yeah.
Our first video, the K-shaped economy.
That's right.
So
there you go.
There you go. Some people are going up and some people are, going this way. So let's keep going. Let's talk about private credit. What is it and where are we at? What happened this week?
Yeah, private credit is something I want to talk more and more about because it's where we could be surprised.
Okay.
Right. If you flash back to the GFC, it's often called the subprime thing, but subprime might have been the needle that popped the balloon.
What is the GFC for some people that don't know? I know what it is. I definitely know
global financial crisis, right? It was 2008 to 2000. I don't know, probably 2008 to 2011.
The mortgage meltdown.
The mortgage meltdown. Thank you. So I think subprime popped it, but it was really the alt A and higher credit that really caused the tidal wave in utter destruction. So I've been hearing about private credit. There's a lot of doomers talking about it. We've seen some private credit blow up, some subprime auto lenders and all of that. So it's got my attention. I was like, oh, I've seen this movie before. Let's go figure this out. So one of the things I did, because I am not deep, right? I'm a visitor to this topic. It's not something I'm deep in. There are plenty of people that know this stuff much better than me, but I like learning. So the first thing I did is I went to Taylor, my buddy, 12 years on Wall Street. And I said, explain to me private credit, explain to me subprime, right? Junk, right? Debt. And the first thing he said is, Michael, you're not going to believe this, but it's true. The part of the junk bond market, right? The highest risk junk bonds are actually as strong as he's ever seen them. I'm like, come on, dude. That's a red flag. What are you talking about? The fact that spreads between AAA and junk are this tight, that's stupid. Stop lying to me. And he goes, no, listen to me. He goes, what happened in this cycle is lenders actually said no. Right? In past cycles, they just jacked up the rates and everybody got a loan. He goes, that's not happening now. Right? There's plenty of people that got told no. He says the problem is those people who got no from the big banks, right? The JP Morgans, the Citis, the Wells, the yada, yada, yadas. They then went to the shadow banking system, non-banks, what is now called private credit, right? These private credit institutions are not regulated by the banking and FTC and, all these other 3-letter acronyms. They're shadow banking. They're off banks. And he goes, that's where the problem is.
Mm.
You have people that were borrowing subprime cars and then laddering them up and all of these things. He goes, Michael, private credit's bad. Right? That's where the cockroaches are. And so far,
that's it.
That's where all the cockroaches are. So then the next question becomes, okay, great. Makes sense to me, right? Makes sense that, junk debt's a little stronger because banks were disciplined and said no. But it also makes sense to me that private credit's a problem because we've seen this movie before.
Yep.
And he goes on to talk about, private credit being about 700 billion. Cause that was my next question. It's like, okay, how big, right? Yeah. Is this an elephant or is this a mouse? Right. I'm not concerned about a mouse, but I'm concerned about an elephant destroying the house. And he's like, probably somewhere in between. It's big. It's not a mouse. It might be a goat, right? It's something that's concerning.
Okay.
But he goes, here's the question you're not asking. And okay, great. Tell me.
Okay.
He goes, what you should be asking is what kind of leverage is on the debt.
Oh.
Because what happened in the subprime crisis is not only was it an elephant or two, but then we had 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 100 to 1 leverage on top of that.
Right.
And he goes, the leverage is what killed us.
Right.
He's like, the banks could have probably gotten through if it wasn't for the leverage. It's the leverage that killed us. It's the leverage that killed AIG. It's the leverage that killed Countrywide. It's the leverage that killed IndyMac. It's in Wells or in Washington Mutual and all of that. Okay, great. Sure. Well, let me ask you, what kind of leverage is on this? And he goes, that's even hard for me to tell. Because again, it's off shadow banking. It's off.
Wow.
He guesstimated that leverage is somewhere between 0 and 500%. So it's not 1,000, it's not 100, but there could be leverage. And he goes, I don't know. And he said he would call some buddies in private credit over the week and get back to me next week. So I'll share what I know next week, but it's the leverage we have to worry about in private credit because that's where cockroaches multiply. It's in the leverage.
Yeah. And you don't know which private credit groups are leveraged. And then not only that, are they tranching out the servicing, the origination, the actual junk that makes sense. And then, on the actual long-term, some pension fund or who's holding the bag, some insurance group or some.
There are probably some people that don't even know what they're holding the bag, right? One thing I did read, and I reported on yesterday in the Daily Financial News is which banks have lent to private credit.
Right.
And as memory serves, Wells Fargo was the most at something like $60 billion. So again, think about Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo could absolutely write off $60 billion and not even flinch. Right. Not even flinch. However, if the private credit laddered that up to $600 billion, again, Wells Fargo would be fine because they're only on the hook for 60. Right. But if that 60 got laddered up across other institutions, then
pension funds,
this could get bonkers. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. Something.
Always learning something in this crazy world.
Wow. Okay. Now we see it. Okay. Very interesting. Time will tell. I definitely am going to go back and watch some of your interviews with him and something to, wow. Okay. You got me nervous and got me tightened up. I'm tight now. I'm ready. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's shift gears. So a couple things. I want to just state this, even for myself as well as for everybody here. when we talk about all the boogeymen, right? It's October, Halloween's next week. There, the boogeyman today, it's private credit, maybe, right? Something out there, leveraged up private credit. There's opportunity, folks. There's always opportunity. So let's talk about, the Fed's next week. What do you see? How does that all play out? What do you see happening with 30-year mortgages? How do you see with the 10-year? How does this all play out for us, an opportunity?
Yeah, we'll do them in order. So the Fed will cut next week. The CPI, the soft CPI guarantees a cut next month or next
25,
week. Sorry.
25 basis points.
Yeah, they can't do 50. Without the data, they can't. It's going to be a quarter. I will tell you that there's increasing bets that this is actually something I don't think I've talked about. I saw the other day that the quote unquote smart money. There's increasing bets that between now and the end of the year, the Fed's going to cut 75 basis points. Now, remember, they only have 2 meetings.
So that means 50 in December?
That means one of them's 50. And at this point, it'll be December. That's what it means. There's
What's
increase like big money. I think it's up to 12%, right? From zero, right? So, and it's moving that way, right? Because again, I think there's increasing private information that the job market is falling apart. Right, Target just announced the layoffs, and layoffs are ahead of schedule. I think the Fed's about to lose the rope and on the job market. So that the smart money is starting to see a 50 in December. But yeah, back to the question at hand, we're going to get a cut next week. The Fed's going to get asked Powell will be asked a gazillion questions. His answers are going to be, we're doing the best we can with the data that we have.
Right.
And, December will be a live meeting and, yada, 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 all this crap he says all the time. But yeah, I think 50 is guaranteed the rest of the year. And it's the question is it 50 or 75, right? Total, right? So a quarter this time, and then December is either a quarter or 50. I think they have to at this point. So now we'll do mortgages since that was the order. Again, folks, you got to remember mortgages move, at least the conventional market moves with anticipation.
Okay.
Why are mortgage rates down this week? Because
for next week
they expect the Fed to cut.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you should not forget, and a lot of you forgot this last time this happened, is when the Fed cuts, rates can go up.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of you, frankly, made a bad bet and didn't lock it in the day before.
Right.
And then Jerome Powell gets in front of the microphone and mortgage rates rip higher.
Right.
Don't do that. If you like it, lock it. Right? Don't gamble. It's just a silly thing.
Yeah, the truth is we probably hit the 2-week, we probably hit the 30-day low a couple of days ago.
Exactly.
Based on news, based on a bad news cycle, and then based on the expectation of the Fed cutting. It almost seems like mortgages always price in the Fed. They're always early to price it in ahead of the actual Fed announcement. Would you tend to agree with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's priced. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about school, the Wealth Club. What is it? What's going on? I love the school community. I'm in there this last week. I figured out my password. I'm back in, and it's funny, these little barriers, right? So
just get in the way.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm in there. I'm exploring, meeting new people. What's going on with school in the Wealth Club?
Yeah, so that's what I'm really calling my school community now. It's now a wealth club, like a health membership. It's for everyday wealth builders. That's what you think about. Because again, it's like when you join a gym, one of the reasons you join a gym is to be around other people going to the gym, right? Other people getting fit and stronger and eating better. That's one of the one of the things about being a part of a big gym is the other people around you, kind of self-selection. You're not sitting on your couch smoking dope with your fat friends. You're at the gym getting healthy. And, that's what I think our school community is. Because again, I see people interacting and asking questions and, accountability groups and education and live streams and all this awesome stuff. The one thing I will say is I have done a poor job of highlighting the goodness of school, right? I just assume that everybody knows Alex Hormozy, and that's just not true. So, a lot of people are like, I keep hearing Zuber talk about school, but I don't know what it is. I can't find it. So there's the link on the screen, school with a K/ORAT, which stands for one rental at a time. And they're like, I want to join, but I don't know where to go. So shame on me. If you are going to go, introduce yourself, look at all the forums, all the topics. It's very interactive. look at the calendar. There's an accountability group 7 days a week, every day of the month. There's free education. You've given education in there that's worth thousands of dollars. And I think I just assumed that everybody knew what school was, and that's just not true. I've heard from multiple people going, I want to join, but I don't know what it is. They spell school the traditional way, not with a K, but with a CH. And they're like, I can't find it. I don't know what he's doing. So, sometimes you need to remember that not everybody is in deep in this world as I am. And sometimes I tell stories and I assume everybody's with me. And it's like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't school with a K. What does that mean? So, I think we need to highlight it more because again,
yes,
if you want to get wealthy, there's nothing better than being in a wealth club. This wealth club costs 67 pennies a day. And, it's almost 500 people now. So, go join. You won't. And if you don't like it, stop, right? It's not a year-long commitment. It's month to month. You're not going to feel $20. You should get hundreds of dollars in value every month. It should be a 10x return for you. And if it's not, then don't join. Yeah.
It's the best $20 you can invest into yourself, better than Planet Fitness, better than any of that. I mean, anything $20 you're going to blow this weekend on a cup of coffee and a muffin or something, right? Like, so get involved with school, folks. You'll see the link here on the screen, SKOOL.com/ORAAT, ORAT, right? One rental at a time.
Yep.
Folks, get involved with school. Let's finish strong on Vegas. Talk about the Vegas bit.
Yeah, I just checked ticket sales. We're up to 170 tickets. We're more than halfway there. Again, and that's before we really start any marketing. So we're going to do some special things with our keynote presenters over the next couple of weeks that will certainly push those sales. I hope you guys join. We're less than 2.5 months away. It's time to get your flights, get your hotels. Vegas is on sale now, so again, it's buy your tickets, get your room, get your flights, and there's nothing like in-person events. Right. We are a family. We are a community. You guys interact in the comments, and it's if you really want to take your investing to the next step, get in a room with other people doing that. Again, my events are different. No selling from stage. Every speaker will have Q&A with the audience. There is no green room, right? They're not off hiding. It's a very unique event. I'm happy to put it on because for me, it's a celebration of the community we have. And I love hearing all the stories. We're bringing in, several of the presenters are from the community, Jared, Brandon, and others. Then we have keynotes, that with relationships I have. And I hope to see you there. Get your tickets, or they will sell out.
I love it. Folks, go to Eventbrite. Look up One Rental at a Time or ORAT, One Rental at a Time, Las Vegas event. This will sell out. Michael and I pre-roll. We talked about a promotion that, again, is going to start running here in the next 30 days or so, maybe the next couple of weeks. We definitely want to see you there. It's a great community event. There's, again, it's everybody getting together to share, to network, to celebrate each other. Michael, thank you for all that you do. Have a great weekend.
You got it, man. Take care. Thanks, Ty.